party balancing.
Party balancing.
There's a long-standing MMORPG formula where you have a tank,
Right.
you have a healer,
Yeah.
and you have 2 or more DPSs in a group, and that's what makes up a group. Everybody fulfills their roles. In video games, a lot of the time, the role is a little more cut and dry than in TTRPGs, but as of late, TTRPGs have sort of evolved to easily bring in the people who are used to that formula.
Right.
And a lot of the time it works okay while not exactly being one-to-one. You see the similarities.
Sure.
That hasn't always been the case, has it?
I think way early it was kind of formulaic. You're going to have a fighter. You're going to have a cleric. You're going to have a thief.
But the formula was pretty different. It wasn't as 1, 2, 3. You have these 3 roles.
Well, this game kind of like TTRPGs have kind of like ebbed and flowed. Like it started off very much like you had 4 classes, and that was pretty much your standard party makeup, just like in any video game, right? And then it went through this time where that didn't really apply, and now you're kind of getting back into this, tank healer DPS realm. But in the very first like AD&D, it was very, very common. You had a fighter, a healer, a rogue, and like a wizard, like cut and dry. Like 2 people want to play this, and they're like, okay, well the 2 of you got to pick between a wizard and rogue.
Okay, well, why do I have to be the cleric?
Oh, I always have to be
Always
the cleric. Yeah. So, but then kind of in the middle there,
But see, back then it was just class based, right? I mean, I hadn't even heard the terms DPS,
tank
till I don't know 5, 6 years ago. Those are words that came over from, to your point, video games, and then their application in a TTRPG.
Yeah.
So.
I guess the question is it something that you personally subscribe to, or is it something that you feel is necessary and has value in your games, like that kind of balance?
Well, you can. There's just so many ways now to satisfy the formula, right? It's no longer class based, right? Tank. Does it have to be the barbarian or the cleric? No, it's probably the druid,
or the paladin.
Could be the paladin.
That's right.
A lot of clerics can tank. A lot of druids can tank. It just depends.
Healing. So many subclasses can find their way into some healing spells that you can have a party now without ever having a cleric.
Even if you don't get healing spells, you could do potions and things like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, some wizards get cure wounds, or some magic users will get a cure wound spell. Bards get healing crap.
Probably
druids
can
sexual
do good
healing
berries.
for a bard.
What's that?
Probably sexual healing for a bard.
Sexual
Yeah.
healing.
You can just edit in the music to that. Get the rights first.
Yeah. Let me borrow about $350,000.
Right. Yeah, I mean, most classes now have so many options that you don't have to necessarily have those boxes ticked. But in essence, the fact that you can have, a druid that can do all of these things, it can tank, it can heal, it can fight, it almost encourages me more to have those classic archetypes of a healer, a tank, and DPS. Because if not, then I just get a druid who is so strung out on all these different skills that he's not really particularly good at any of them, So for me, when I do that, like I want my character to be good at this one thing.
So you like min-maxing?
I do like min-maxing.
Let's not jump topics here.
But I think it can be really fun to play a game where, like, I think we played a game one time where I had the magic was all screwy. And
Screwy, you say.
Screwy. So like magic users were basically useless.
Thank you for the follow, 321 TV. Thanks for joining us. We are talking about party balancing in D&D and TTRPGs.
But I definitely think, like, if we're making a big group, like the we've been playing for so long that when people, like newer people are playing with us, we let them pick their classes first, and then we kind of scavenge through what's left and decide, okay, well, we really don't have anybody who can hit anything, so let's throw a bard or a fighter in there, or a barbarian or whatever. But we tend to do that by just letting certain people pick their classes first. You know?
Sometimes people will have a very clear-cut idea of, I want to play this particular thing. And if everybody wants to play this particular thing and everybody is playing a glass cannon caster, it could work out very badly. You would hope the DM or GM would help them out, throw them a few bones, but then again, why not just go with a fighting guy if it's...
I think that with all of the subclasses, and then if you throw in the non-Wizards of the Coast subclasses, stuff you can find on DM's Guild or whatever, there's just so many different ways. I don't think there's a formula anymore for party balance, but you do have to have a party that can make it through whatever. So the right balance could change depending on what campaign or homebrew or adventure you're going to go on.
I remember one of your things was you like to punish us if we don't have anybody who could pick locks.
That's a personal gripe, less about your balance and more that rogues are the best class. And when you ignore that, I feel slighted.
But it does speak to
It does. I definitely I think session 1 of any game where you guys don't pick a rogue, there's going to be an excessively difficult lock to pick. And Dad will look at me. He's like, I get it. We didn't pick a rogue. Now, you did play in a game that was all monks. Did you find it to be unbalanced? Did you find that there was a lot of skills that you guys were missing out on?
So it was a one shot.
Yeah.
We've seen things online like, oops, all bards is the thing. And so there's a lot of, let's do all of this.
That's just OnlyFans, right?
Yeah. Every time I've seen those, they have been one shots, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of throws a mitigator into the whole calculation. If it's a one shot and it's planned for all of one class, then a good game master DM is not going to throw in you got to get through a bunch of traps and locks,
right,
to get to the end of this with your party of wizards.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that. So, but even with the all monks, there's so many subclasses of monks, right? There was some ability to heal in that party, and there were some, ability to take some damage in that party.
So you didn't particularly notice any major glaring...
Yeah, because I wasn't looking for it.
That's fair.
We were just looking for how are 4 monks all going to have a great day. And we did, by the way, have a great time. It was hilarious and it was a lot of fun.
And when somebody puts out a casting call and says, we're going to do all monks, there is a bit of design on the part of the DM to get something
make
that
a
would
monk
be fun
thing,
for
right?
all monks.
Yep.
It's a little different if you're saying, okay, I'm going to start a campaign. It's going to be in Wildmount. What are y'all playing? And everybody says monks.
Yeah.
Whoa, back up.
Then you do take the opportunity to punish them because they've done that to themselves.
But so that example aside, because I agree, I don't care what it is. We're playing a campaign, whether it's homebrew or an established module. Everybody picking the exact same thing is going to make the whole thing difficult.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those campaign books assume, whether they say it outright, that there's some kind of party balance here, right? There is a little bit of everything in the thing. Having said all that, I would rather players just play what they really are excited about playing.
Yeah.
Right? And not be the DMs, well, you don't have a cleric. One of you better be the cleric. Right? If it's like 2 rogues, a fighter, a barbarian, and a sorcerer, okay, let's have some fun.
Yeah.
And then I would probably, if necessary, but again, it's less and less necessary with all the subclasses and whatnot, I might tweak some things in the module to make it better for them. I've played in games where we were poorly prepared. And one of my online games, we started a Descent into Avernus, And like within the first 2 sessions, we were in fights and people were down, people were making death saving throws and everything. We had nothing.
Right.
After that, we went out and bought a whole bunch of healing potions. Every time we were about to go somewhere, it's go buy a healing potion.
Yeah.
You find ways around what you forgot to build into the party balance. But people got to play what they wanted to play.
Oh, yeah. And that is part of the party balancing, is that it will be a evolving equation. Because as you move up in levels, as you go to different areas and you're taking on different things, like your party balance is going to change. But definitely we've played games where within the first few sessions, you can tell we are severely lacking in people who can actually heavily hit. Like, so then it becomes, okay, well, Paladin, we're going to need you to get a bigger weapon. Like, let's go find you something. Or, you start making those judgment calls to how do we bridge those gaps? And it's an evolving.
Parties are always working towards whatever balance is required in the game, right? You level up, you get you find loot, like, hey, so-and-so probably ought to get this because they don't have a ranged weapon, and so-and-so probably ought to get this, and it's 4th level, and I was thinking of taking an ability score increase, but it's obvious I should take this feat over here because we're missing X.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it's just party balancing is it's very much less about like the classic MMO, healer, tank, DPS. It's more about finding the balance that works for how you guys play and what works well in your setting. You know what? I mean, I can see like all sorcerers or something like that. It could be super fun to watch it and to do it like for one shot, but it would probably be very difficult to do very long term.
After about 4 or 5 sessions, the whole group is probably banging their head against the wall. Why did we decide to do all wizards?
Yeah. But it'd probably be really cool if the game master puts in that time to make sure that it's good for those characters.
I mean, some things are just built that way, right?
Yeah.
What's the Hogwarts like one? Strixhaven?
Something like that.
Magic School. I mean,
I think that was Strixhaven.
Adventures there, you're probably going to have a bunch of casters, right?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't necessarily be all one class, but they would all be of that ilk.
Ilk. Yeah. I sometimes I've struggled though with party balance because like if you two pick something and it leaves me with like the option of like we really need somebody who's long range. I'm like, man, that's gonna suck. or whatever. But I think definitely you can put some thought into it and you can evolve it as you go.
Party balance. I'm for it. There's 100 ways to do it.
100,000 ways to do it.
I wouldn't go that far.
Then things I counted.
Okay, well,
I did the math.
Stay corrected.